Hey, are you struggling to get a consistent payout from prop firms? You are definitely not alone. Today, we're not just talking about trading. We're unlocking a powerful framework designed to beat the house, get you funded way faster, and really scale those payouts into six-figure territory.
So let's just start with a number that should really stop you in your tracks. It's estimated that around 90%, yeah, 90, of traders fail to get even a single consistent payout from these firms.
So what's going on here? Is everybody just using a bad strategy? Well, the surprising answer is no. The reason people fail so often isn't because they lack a trading edge. It's something much more fundamental, a critical error in how they think about the game itself.
They're playing the wrong game. See, most people treat a prop firm account like it's their own personal savings account, trying to protect it and preserve it for the long haul. But that's not the goal here. This is a high-stakes game of return on investment, or ROI.
So how do you actually win this game? Well, we're going to dive into a framework that completely shifts your mindset. You need to start thinking like a business owner, where those evaluation fees are just your operating expenses, and the payouts, that's your revenue.
All right, let's get into it. The first and honestly the most crucial rule of this entire framework is understanding what you are actually risking, because I can promise you it is not the big number you see on the screen.
You cannot get trapped by the account's face value. You know, a $50,000 account does not mean you have 50 grand to play with. That number, it's mostly just marketing. The real number, the one that matters, is kind of hidden in the fine print.
Just like trader Nick Updike says, your available trailing drawdown is your account size. That drawdown, the maximum amount your account can lose before you're out, that is your true risk capital. Every single one of your risk calculations has to be based on this number and this number alone.
And check out how the math works on this. Let's say you have that 50K account, but the firm gives you a $2,000 drawdown. That means your true capital is only $2,000. So risking an aggressive 7 to 10% of that number per trade means you've got about 10 straight losses before you blow the account.
So how in the world do you get that precise? Well, the secret is using micro contracts. I mean, think about it. If your plan says to risk exactly $140 on a trade, you just can't do that with a standard full-sized contract. But with micros, which are a tenth of the size, you can dial in your position to match that exact dollar amount perfectly. It's absolutely essential for this model to work.
Okay, now let's get to the real core of the strategy. This is where it all starts to click. It's a radical two-phase approach that completely flips the script the moment you go from an evaluation to being funded. So phase 1, the evaluation. This is all about one thing, speed. You risk aggressively, that 7 to 10% of your drawdown we just talked about, and the goal is to pass in just a handful of really high conviction trades. But the second you get that, congratulations, your funded email, the mission changes completely.
As trader Dan Chung puts it, the risk comes off immediately. Your risk per trade plummets to a super conservative 0.5% to 1% of your true capital. Why? Because the goal isn't to hit home runs anymore. It's to protect that drawdown buffer and lock in that first crucial payout.
Now, this requires a pretty major psychological shift. That evaluation fee, it's an investment. It's a calculated cost of doing business, plain and simple. If an attempt fails, you have to be able to reset without emotion. It is not a personal failure, it's just a data point. You just refocus on the high ROI potential of the next attempt.
Okay, so you did it, you secured your first payout. That's fantastic. But how do you get those really massive account-changing paydays? Well, to do that, you have to evolve beyond just using a fixed risk on every trade.
Nick Updike describes this perfectly. He says to think of it like a professional poker player. I mean, you don't bet the same amount on every single hand, do you? Of course not. You size up aggressively only when you're dealt pocket aces. In trading, that means waiting for an A-plus setup with clear momentum and high volume. On all the other days, you just play defense.
A really powerful way to do this is by pyramiding or scaling into a winning trade. So here's how it works. Let's say you enter a long trade with just one small contract as a test. The trade moves in your favor, it confirms your idea. Now you add more contracts. But here's the magic trick. You move the stop loss on your original position up to your entry price. You're now controlling a much bigger position, but with basically zero additional risk from your starting capital. It's a game changer.
Now we're getting into the big leagues. You've got multiple funded accounts. The common wisdom is just to use a trade copier to place the same trade on all of them at once. But you know what? There's a much smarter way.
Here are 2 advanced strategies to manage your risk and really maximize your returns across your whole portfolio of accounts.
Okay, first up, trader Sean Farrow suggests account rotation. That's where you trade only one account at a time. If you hit your loss limit on one, you just switch to the next one. This really maximizes your survivability. Then you've got Nick Updike, who uses staggered targets. He copies the same trade to all his accounts, but he sets different profit targets and loss limits on each one, and he leaves one totally uncapped just to catch those explosive 10-to-1 monster moves.
But let's be really clear about something. None of these tactics, not the risk models, not the scaling, not the account management, none of it will work without this single most important element. This right here. This is the engine that drives the entire framework.
It's discipline, but it's not just be disciplined. It's the specific discipline to risk aggressively during an evaluation, even when every instinct is screaming at you to be careful. And then, it's the counterintuitive discipline to slam on the brakes and trade super conservatively the moment you're funded. That ability to flip the switch, that is what separates the 90% who fail from the traders who truly thrive.
Look, this framework is a powerful tool. It's a blueprint for success in this prop firm world. But a blueprint is only as good as the builder who uses it. The framework is right here. The only real question left is, can you execute it with that unwavering two-sided discipline? Because your answer to that question will determine everything.